Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Seher, ACCA taxation tutor, and today in this video, I'm going to discuss all about ACCA taxation relevant for fiscal year 2024 and 2025. Let's start with the start date of the fiscal year 2024 and 2025. It's going to start every year from 6th April 2024 and it ends at 5th April 2025. So all those students who are going to study and appear during these attempts of ACCA, they will be examined under the rates applicable for the fiscal year 24 and 25. Now, let's move towards the scope of taxation, that who are those people who are liable for tax, who is or who are supposed to pay the tax to HMRC. HMRC is the governing body in UK that collects tax. It's basically a source of revenue for them. So the first party that is relevant for paying tax are the individuals. Then there are single companies and group of companies. So these three parties are involved in paying the taxes. So they are covered under the scope of taxation. When you will be studying the syllabus for ACCA taxation, so you are going to study all about them. So basically, this is where tax is going to revolve around. Okay, now moving towards the role of a tax accountant, every student should ask, first of all, that why are we studying taxation? What are we going to get out of it? And what we are going to become? So it's ACCA, which does not restrict your role only to be with the role of a student. Rather, it gives you a role of a tax accountant. When you are solving the questions for taxation, so my suggestion is to imagine yourself that you are a tax accountant and you have to play your best role. So for that, how you can become a good tax accountant? See, it has two words. One is for tax and other one is for accountant. It's different from a traditional accountant. And what the difference is all about, let me cater that. So when you are in this role, examiner is expecting you to learn, to have the detailed knowledge of income tax from self-employment. I'm a businessman, I'm a businesswoman, and I do my own business. So I have my own income, I am my own boss. So I have to pay income tax on that income. So through my self-employment income, whatever I'm earning, that will be catered by income tax. Definitely, there are rates, there are situations, there are different dynamics involved in it, so many aspects that we will be learning in self-employment. So on that, income tax is applicable. Then there is another one where income tax is applicable out there. So that is employment. I'm doing my own job, and for that, whatever I'm earning my salaries, I have my benefits from the companies, taxable, non-taxable, that we will be going through with that. So in that case, whatever earnings I'm having, so these are also taxable, and this will also be catered under income tax, and I'll be paying that to HMRC. Here, my employer is also going to play its role, that it is going to collect the tax on my behalf. Then I'm having investments, certain savings, certain dividends out there. On that as well, I'll have to pay the income tax. Okay, now this I have covered in relation with the individuals. Now I will cover the next thing that relates to corporation tax. Okay, corporation tax is not in any other world. It's also in the same world of taxation, just some of the things are different. So companies pay taxes on profits, and for that we call it corporation tax liability. Now, what is meant by individual company in a group of companies? Individual companies, very simple, that does not belong to any group. It's just a single LLC or public limited company or whatsoever. And then there is a huge thing, we can say, group of companies. Parent companies is involved, subsidiaries are involved in it. So for them, the tax dynamics are obviously different. When you will be studying corporation tax in detail, so over there you will understand that what are those dynamics, what are those aspects that currently I'm talking about. But right now I'm just giving you the scenario where you have to imagine yourself that, okay, you are a tax accountant and now you have to solve the case. Next, NIC liabilities, the national insurance. In UK, everybody like insurance is mandatory over there. So what happens that some portion from your salary, from your employment income is deducted by the employer. There are classes of NIC under which the person falls. So according to that, they have to pay NIC liabilities. These calculations are very simple. The the taxes rates will be given to you in the tax table in your exam, and from that you will have to pick your rate, see that where that person falls in which NIC class, and according to that levy the percentages. Or if it's a band, so it will be catered through those NIC tax bands. Then moving towards that, okay, every this tax is actually country dependent. Okay, so in UK we have value added tax, and what is actually meant by this tax, this is an indirect tax. When we are going to purchase, when we are going to consume the product, goods and services, only then you are going to pay this tax. If I don't want to purchase anything, I'm not supposed to pay the tax as well. So that also has aspects with taxation. HMRC also collects that, but it's an indirect tax. Then moving towards chargeable gains. So over here, what things are involved? Today, I'm having, let's say, any asset. Okay. And now after 5 years, I'm selling it. So obviously, if I sold something for 5,000 and actually I bought it for 2,000 some years back, so what is that 3,000? That 3,000 is my gain. So if it's chargeable, I'll have to pay tax. If it's not, then not. And always remember this thing in your exam, if you're having your answer as a zero, write it. Mention it in your exam. I will make another video for the exam tips, but right now I'm just telling this thing that whenever if you're having the answer as zero, mention that and mention the reason too. Why? Because examiner has put on allocated marks for that thing as well. That's also your knowledge. That's also your ability. Show it. Moving forward to IST liabilities. Okay, on companies, we are not having any IST. It's only involved with individuals, inheritance tax. If someone inherits the property or the person that is deceased now, but in his life he has done some gifts, some chargeable lifetime transfers, some potentially exempt transfers, all the things out there like that. So how and who is supposed to pay tax? Because the deceased cannot pay the tax. Who is the nomination, donor, donee? All of these cases will be involved in it. So this is your role of a tax accountant. Now, after learning all of these things, move one step ahead. That's what ACCA wants you to do. So compute tax. Compute tax will always give you an absolute amount. Like if I say you calculate the tax, so you will just simply subtract or add whatever the formulas are, and you will compute that tax. I can say this thing, anyone who studies ACCA taxation can do it. Moving forward, compute tax liabilities. Now, there is a difference between this. Calculating a tax and then calculating the tax liability. Okay, how much actually you are supposed to pay. This is the difference, and this thing I can show you by solving one question for you as well. Okay, now when you are done with the calculation of your tax, you are done with the calculation of your tax liability. After that, what you are supposed to do, now from here, ACCA examiner starts to differentiate the students. From here, your marks get differentiated from the high achiever. Explain the basis of the calculations. Now, if I say, let's take a scenario. If I say that my property income, that is 10,000. Okay, fine. I have calculated my tax liability on this. Let's say I'm saying I'm a basic rate taxpayer and I'm supposed to pay tax. I'm just taking an example to keep the things very different. Let's say I'm paying 20% tax on it. Let's say, okay. Now I'm gonna get an answer, right? Done. You got an answer. So I can use my computation skills and I can calculate the answer by applying this 20%. Now let's say there is a situation where my answer is zero. So in that case, I just cannot write 0 and move on because examiner is not going to give me the full marks over it. Why? Because the examiner expects to expects you to write basically the reason beside it. So let's say I give you a situation for your mobile phone that employer has given its employee one mobile phone and now examiner asks you to calculate tax on it. And you just mentioned 0, nothing. He will not give you full marks. The reason is you should tell that one mobile phone is an exempt benefit. Now this is complete answer, and this is what examiner wants, the full knowledge. Apply your knowledge in that cases whatever it is giving you. So this is this is actually what is required. Okay, this is the basis of your calculation, which what examiner is asking you to explain it. So explain it for you. There can be many tax planning techniques too, like I said, where examiner asks you to play your role of a tax accountant, tell the individual or the company how can they save the tax. You can't avoid it, okay? You can't evade it, but you can save it with your skills, with your smart techniques. So you have to present all of those in your exam and in your real life as well. If you become a tax accountant, this is going to be your work. This is going to be your job role. Next, identify the compliance issues for each major tax. You know that it is basically by statute. This obligation is strictly monitored by HMRC. If you will like charged under non-compliance, you are going to face severe penalties for that. So examiner will give you some situations, some scenarios, and over that you will have to tell you will have to identify. So number one thing, identification is easiest. Then second number is for computation, third for explanation, and fourth is for application. So that's how step by step you have to proceed with your skills. And in upcoming slides, I will tell you the intellectual levels as well that are required by the examiner from the students. Moving forward, these are the main capabilities examiner wants you to learn. In real, what happens? You study a syllabus, you appear in that exam, and then you forget. Why? Because you don't want to remember the things or you have not learned it fully. That's where you start forgetting all about it. But if you have learned something fully, you will have the knowledge engraved in your brains and you can't forget it. So after like this successful completion, you should be able to explain the operation and scope of the tax system. Tax system, we are just already I have covered it. Operation, how does HMRC operates? You have to tell it. Let's say some of your friends, someone from your circle moves to UK and now he will be paying tax after he will become the resident over there. So what are going to be the obligation of taxpayer or their agents? Implications of non-compliance. You know, when you move to some new place, you ask them what are the laws, right? So you should have the knowledge of all of these things. Then you can give it to your friends, your relatives, in your circle as well. Okay, so it's a great skill. It in your exam it will be tested least for 2% and maximum for 8% in all the MCQs. So I'm telling you the practical as well as the exam aspect too. Second, okay, can you just see this word explain and compute repeatedly? That's the only two things examiner wants from you in ACC taxation. Is that much difficult? No. So explain and compute the ITL of individuals and the effect of NIC on employees, employers, and the self-employed. So three aspects are there: employees, employers, and the self-employed, in which you have to do the same things. You have to explain and then calculate the income tax liabilities. And effect of NIC, this is basically a mandatory thing over there. Some portion for your NIC is deducted from your salaries by your employers. So an employee can also do that. So all of these cases you will be studying and then you will be explaining it like this. Then for chargeable gains for individuals, this is the case. Explain and compute the chargeable gains for IST and only individuals, because in companies don't pay IST. For corporation tax, this is not another world. It's just simply another phase in this world where you are going to learn the corporation tax dynamics. If there are losses, profits. If a company doesn't have any profits, it can't pay tax because tax is paid out of profits. So in this cases, government HMRC is going to give its relief. So you have to learn the relief scenarios as well, that in which scenarios which relief is applicable. For VAT, it's an indirect tax. Okay, one more thing, difference between incorporated and unincorporated businesses. Students have this perception that this is a registered business and this is an unregistered business. This is not the case. Sole traders and partnerships, okay, they are unincorporated. And when we're talking about incorporated, we're actually talking about the companies, okay? So these are all the dynamics. So if I just write very quickly, 15 till 24 is the exam weightage, 10 till 18 in all these three. Sorry, VAT is 10 till 18, and for corporation tax, 15 to 24%. That is the weightage of the exam which has been communicated by your side. Employability, technology skills, this is not any separate topic, rather it's just your practice. That examiner wants the student to practice all the questions on the CV practice platform so that in their exams they're not going to face any difficulty. And I can just share my example from you here, that when I was an ACCA student, when I gave the exam, the duration for exam used to be 3 hours 20 minutes, and I solved it in 1 hour 20 minutes. So that's the standard of efficiency which I attained. How? By practice, constant practice. And I used to like this subject very much. This was one of my favorite subject of ACCA. So this can also be the reason I saw many students leaving the questions in the exam because they were unable to manage their time. And I just wondered, they left and I completed. It's the quality of your exam, that how error free or with less errors you solve the exam. Okay, so that's all in your hands basically. Okay, let's move forward to the intellectual levels. All right, so for for this intellectual levels, I always use an example of a letter. Let's say the name of this letter is X. Now the student is on first point. Examiner expects the students to have the full knowledge and the comprehension of a topic. Let me give you an example here. Now the student wants to climb this first step. What is a chattel? Student told me, okay, step number one, you can proceed. Now I ask you, is my laptop a chattel? Now the student is silent here. It means either he is unable to comprehend the question correctly or he cannot apply it in that scenario. So let's say he didn't said anything or said the wrong answer, you can't move on to level two. Now the student wants to move to level two. So for that, what is asked by the examiner? Application and analysis. You should know that yes, laptop is a chattel or not, or why are you seeing this thing, right? For analysis, I will give you a business scenario example. Let's say that drug factories should be banned. Let's say yes or no. Now one says yes, other says no. Who is right and who is wrong? Both can be right and both can be wrong. How they can be? Let me tell you. Drug factory, okay, analysis is basically like a coin and which has two sides, and you are supposed to look at both sides. Okay, that's a good analysis. If you just see one side, it's incomplete analysis. Drug factories should be banned. The first one says yes. Why? Because, and what will happen? Health issues would be really less, like people will stop the consumption. Okay, and it's a demerit good, that's why it should be banned. Okay, 2 points we have in favor of this topic. In against of the topic, I'm placing my arguments. It should not be banned because people will be unemployed, a factory will be closed, government will lose the tax, economic growth will be less, like GDP, something will be missed from GDP. Now what happened? I'm having 3 points in against. I'm going to move to step 3 on my ladder. Synthesis means combining all your points. Now evaluate. I combined all my 5 points, and now when I'm weighing it all up, I can see that this side is lighter and other side is heavier. No, it should not be banned. So your opinion can matter. Obviously, if we just look at some other from other aspects, not just with the quantity, if we just talk about the harmful effects the drugs are going to bring to the people. So I can say that okay, this should not be, like, this should be banned, but with valid explanations. Then only examiner will accept your answer the correct one. If you are placing one argument right and yes, and you are going for your recommendation for no, this is like your double standard is being questioned, right? So examiner will not give you marks. So likewise, you have to weigh it all up, be very much calculated, right? So this is knowledge and comprehension first, application and analysis, then synthesis and evaluation. And when you will climb all those three steps of this taxation ladder, only then you will be able to climb it fully. And at the end, when you would have climbed all the three steps, I'll meet you there. Moving forward, this is just a brief UK tax syllabus we have already discussed. So let's move forward from here. Okay, now the last thing is the exam pattern. Never ever directly jump to the exam pattern first. Always see the topics, because this is where examiner is going to test you. So 15 OTQs, 30 marks, you will be tested from anywhere. We have seen the 6 areas basically, and you can be tested from anywhere. But that's just the style of the questions which you are going to be tested at. 3 MTQs, CGT, IHT, and VAT. This is also 30 marker. 110 mark, this is a game changer question. It can come from anywhere. 2 marker from ITL and CTL, examiner has told us. All other questions can cover any area of the syllabus. To stop cherry picking, stop asking for spot areas. Okay, stop asking for important areas of the syllabus. Entire syllabus is important for you. Don't leave any topic. How would you feel if I would just say that, let's say, IHT is my favorite topic to teach, or I don't like CGT to teach? Let's leave it. So, things will remain incomplete. There should be no backlogs, no incomplete things. Always things should be complete, because, um, it will be beauty of your exam then, and you will see this. Now moving towards the last thing of this presentation, the exam pattern. Never ever directly jump over the exam pattern. First see the topics, because this is where examiner is going to test you. So Section A of this exam is comprised of 15 OTQs of 2 marks each. That makes 30 marks, and it is tested from any area of the syllabus. He can test you from anywhere, so don't go for cherry picking of the topics. Section B comprises of 3 case style questions, like the MTQs. It's also of 30 marks, and we have already discussed CGT, IHT, and VAT. These are the areas where you will be tested. That's a common scenario. Section C comprised from 110 mark. It's a game changer question. And 2 markers are from ITL and CTL. Income tax liability, corporation tax liability, examiner has already told us. So this actually makes 40 marks. So this is basically the breakup of your 100 marks. It's your paper, it's your exam, it's your life basically. So never ever go for cherry picking anywhere. Like if you are given no choice and you have to like solve all the questions, just do it. Don't leave any topic. Okay, manage your time very well. This is also a skill. I can share my experience with you. When I was an ACCA student, when I was studying tax, the duration for this exam used to be of 3 hours 20 minutes. I solved this live exam in 1 hour 20 minutes. That was my efficiency. And how I attained it? Constant practice, learning honestly with full interest. At the time, I saw the students, they were in greater tension after I just came out of the exam hall. They were saying, we love this question, we leave this question. I was like, "Okay, how can you leave a question? Like I completed this entire thing in this much time." Although everyone is different. But again, there, it depends upon the things just I outlined, how honestly, how fully you basically learn that thing, and how good you are able to apply it. That's the only thing like which I have learned from my experience. So never leave any topic. Okay, just learn it fully. In my next video, I'll come out with another topic. Through my videos, you're going to get the articles explanation. I'm going to make videos on articles of HSA taxation. I'm going to share my own experiences for taxation and some other aspects too. So if you have any query, you can drop it down there. See you in the next video. Thank you. Love this.